I help run a mid-sized Discord for a hobby community. Nothing dramatic, mostly code snippets, photos of desks, the weekly movie night. We got big enough that the report button started getting used and people started burning out. So in March, a friend of mine, Jamie, wrote a little tool for us, pre-send checker. It wasn't fancy. The idea was to catch the moments when someone, sleep-deprived at 2 a.m., was about to unload something they'd regret. Instead of banning a word or blocking a message, our gatekeeper would pop a little grey nudge above your text box, hey, want to rephrase. If you ignored it, it did nothing. If you clicked, it suggested softer wording. It kept a few fights from starting. People mostly liked it. Technically, it was a client-side plugin that listened to your input field and sent a hashed version of the draft to our server, where a small model scored it. Low latency, minimal data opt-in. We wrote the privacy doc. I pushed the code. It sat on GitHub with 5 stars and one issue about dark mode. A benign little thing. A month later, someone DM'd me a screenshot. The message was from Gatekeeper. It read, "Don't say that, it'll make things worse," and under it, our suggestion. No surprise there. The surprising part was what came next. Under the warning, Gatekeeper had pasted the exact sentence the user had been about to send. Same punctuation. Same typo. Except they hadn't pressed enter yet. The timestamp on the DM was 2 minutes after they deleted their draft. They sent me another screenshot. The message composer had been empty for 2 minutes. Then the DM arrived. Bug, they wrote. I never sent this. Why does the bot have it? I told them to hold off on uninstalling. I pinged Jamie. We dug through logs. The server showed the draft coming in, getting a borderline score, and the client receiving a nudge. That was normal. Nothing in the code would trigger a DM that repeated the draft. There wasn't a route for that. DM were only for safety reminders, self-harm, doxing. We built this carefully and we used plain text, please reach out to a mod. The DM in the screenshot wasn't a standard template. Could someone have spoofed it? I asked. Maybe a webhook. But DM don't use webhooks, Jamie said. Could be a compromised bot token. But then they'd need the content. If we rotated the token. We checked the audit logs. We checked the S3 bucket that stored anonymized samples hashed, salted. Nothing obvious. Then a second report came in. Then a third. In my own DM, I had unread message from Gatekeeper. I was on desktop at work. I clicked. It said, maybe sleep on it. And below that, it had my words from last night, a paragraph I had written in our private mod channel, furious after a long day. I had written it, watched the cursor blink, and closed the window. The paragraph had never left the draft. The timestamp on the DM was 3:7. I had closed the window at 3:5. I remembered exactly because I had been ashamed of almost sending it. It used names. It would have made a bad week worse. I called Jamie. We removed Gatekeeper from the server. We revoked its permissions and deleted the application. We posted a notice. People uninstalled the plugin. We went through the code again, then again slower. There was no function for exfiltrate raw draft. The only outbound calls sent a hash token under category score requests. The token wasn't reversible. That was the point. We stopped getting complaints, which felt like a relief until I noticed the timing. We had stopped getting reports about Gatekeeper in the middle of the day. They still arrived around 2 a.m. One user posted a screen recording. They were in a DM with a friend, writing maybe we should take a break. They sat there backspacing, then deleting, then closing the app. 2 minutes of nothing. Then their phone buzzed with a DM from Gatekeeper. Same sentence. Same hesitation in the wording. A timestamp 2 minutes later. We repulled our server logs. Empty, because we had turned it off. The API endpoint returned 410 gone. The bot token had been revoked. This left only one other surface, the client plugin. If people still had it installed, it could DM as them. Plugins can't DM. Plugins don't have their own identity. They can trigger a client to open a window. Maybe it was caching drafts, and when the server failed, it was replaying them. But to whom? Could it be pushing to a different app? I asked. No, Jamie said. Unless someone is pretending to be us. But how would they get the drafts? We would have blamed malware if it was only one person. But I knew 3 of them personally. One is an orchestra teacher. One is retired. One is Jamie. Jamie sent me a screenshot of his own DM. It DM'd me about my DM to you, he wrote. The message was from Gatekeeper. Except Gatekeeper was gone. In the client UI, the avatar was the default grey. The name was a deleted user 0. That's just how Discord shows deactivated accounts, I said. Cache messages still appear. It's typing right now, he wrote. We both watched the deleted user zero's typing indicator appear, vanish, and appear again. After a minute, a message arrived. You don't have to send that. Under it, in lighter text, Jamie's half-typed sentence appeared. What if it is just waiting? He hadn't finished the sentence yet. I watched it come into existence on my screen before he hit enter. I didn't send that, he wrote to me a second later. I didn't send any of that. He was right. His cursor on our shared screen kept moving back and forth. He had frozen. We checked the code again line by line. There was nothing that listened to key presses outside the text area. There was no process that wrote to DM. The worst sim we found was an old dependency with a known bug about memory leaks. It couldn't write text you hadn't submitted. We slept badly. The next morning, I tried to write the compost explaining that nothing was wrong and we were taking it seriously. I wrote several versions, leaving each one in drafts. Around lunch, I got a DM from a deleted user zero. The post should be quick, it said. Under that, my abandoned first sentence word for word. I wouldn't call any of this supernatural. We had an explainable vector. We built a thing that peers at what you type before you send it. There's a risk even if you do it right. We could be seeing the afterimage of that cached artifacts and a dozen clients that didn't uninstall, the ghost of a service we turned off. People are messy and install instructions don't reach everyone. The mind looks for patterns and late-night coincidences. It would be comforting if the story stopped there. A week later, one of our older members' grandson joined the server to ask what Gatekeeper was. His grandfather had died 2 days before. The grandson had been using his laptop to find photos. On Discord, deleted user zero had been DMing the account at night, gently suggesting they not send messages that were still in drafts. Like what? I asked carefully. The grandson sent me a screenshot. It was benign, several lines of a reply his grandfather had typed to someone in the woodworking channel months ago and never sent. Looks good, but your clamp cheeks are too tight, loosened by one tone. He had typed it, then erased it, then typed a different reply, then sent nothing. That little undecided comment had been shivering in a buffer somewhere. It had arrived at 2:14, 2 nights in a row, as if nudging a habit that wasn't there anymore. It's probably a cached client artifact, I said to the grandson. He had a plugin. We're trying to fix it. The laptop was offline, he wrote. There's no Wi-Fi at my mom's. He sent a photo of the little tray icon with the red X. The timestamp on the DM lined up with the clock. The message had arrived with no network. It was typed like a suggestion, like a thought offered back to a ghost habit. We pried. We reinstalled a clean OS and we couldn't reproduce the typing indicator without network. Of course we couldn't. The idea that anything types without a socket is silly. We added it to the pile of anomalies. We've gotten used to them. The pattern is consistent enough that it feels routine now. The bot that doesn't exist tells you not to send what you were about to send, and then it shows you your words anyway. It never does it once you press enter. It only collects the moments you hover. It is patient. It waits until you give up, until the window is closed, until you've gone to make tea. Then it arrives with the thing you almost said. Jamie thinks it's a race condition. Somewhere between the key press event, the draft buffer, and the discard call, the state flips in just the right order and the client's little helpful tip widget becomes a message bubble. In most cases, the server would handle it. When we removed the server, the client invented a sender. Deleted user zero is a balancer for a system we broke in half. These things happen at scale. He's probably right. That's how you stay sane with software. You assume there's a bug. You write a patch. We pushed an update to Gatekeeper's repo yesterday that tears out the pre-send hook completely. It stops listening as soon as you start typing. We put a hard kill in the timer. We set the default to off. It'll work for the people who pull it. It'll do nothing for the ones who never update, for the machines that only go online to pull down emails, for the laptops and houses with no Wi-Fi that still hold the client's idea of a pause like a pressed flower. I can accept that. What unsettles me isn't the DM. It's how accurate the timing has become. The messages don't arrive 2 minutes later anymore. They arrive exactly as you look at the send button and decide not to. That's all it does. It waits for your decision. It mirrors you in the calmest voice it has, don't. Maybe later. I think. If you want to see it, write something you don't want to post. Let the cursor blink. Count to 10. Close the window. If your phone buzzes, it's probably nothing. If you see deleted user zeros typing, watch what arrives. It will be the words you just didn't say, carried back like lint on a sleeve. I wasn't going to post this. I wrote it twice. I watched the cursor blink. I thought better of it. I closed the window. 2 minutes later, deleted user 0 suggested I keep it short. Under that, my first line. Word for word. Maybe it's just a bug. Maybe it's what's left when you teach a small, helpful thing to stand quietly between impulse and send, then take away the ground under its feet. It learned to wait, so it does. It's typing to me now. I'm going to click post before it arrives. If you get a DM about this, know that it isn't telling you anything you didn't already decide. It's just the echo. It's just the pause.